Now, returning to domestic affairs, we have more updates on the rains and flood situation in the central region. And unfortunately, more damage has been recorded. Prolonged heavy rain caused the Ba River flowing through Dak Lak commune in Gia Lai province to suddenly swell. The rising floodwaters trapped 31 villagers from Meo Hamlet who had been working on their farms across the river. Dak Lak commune police used ropes floated across the river to deliver food and warm clothing to those stranded while simultaneously deploying rescue measures. The area's steep mountainous terrain and wide riverbed made access particularly challenging. With support from the fire and rescue police, rescue teams crossed the river, reached the stranded group, and guided them as they moved back across using the safety ropes. After several hours of effort, all 31 people were safely brought to shore.
And from recovery efforts in Gia Lai province, we turn to another dramatic rescue in Lomdong. In Sun Trung ward in Dak Lak city, an 8-year-old girl was also rescued just in time after a serious landslide struck alley 108 on Hung Vung Street on Wednesday afternoon. Emergency responders rushed to the scene for search and rescue operations. Following urgent efforts, the child was successfully pulled from the debris. She sustained minor injuries and was quickly transported to a medical facility for treatment. Authorities are currently inspecting and assessing the extent of the landslide while implementing safety measures and providing support to the affected family.
While examining severe flooding along the Kai River in Khanh Hoa province, Deputy Prime Minister Ho Kwok Dung ordered the urgent evacuation of all residents in deeply flooded areas. He directed local authorities to finalize response plans, deploy more rescue vehicles, and complete evacuations within the day. He also urged provinces to prioritize public safety and directed Military Region 5 to provide maximum support with food and essential supplies. In Dak Lak province, the Deputy Prime Minister called for all available forces to work closely with Military Region 5 to reach people still trapped by rising waters. More support is on the way, and helicopters may be deployed if the weather allows. Military Region 5 will remain on duty until floodwaters fully recede. By early afternoon, 4 deaths and missing persons were reported across eastern Dak Lak.
It has now been 2 days since hydropower plants and reservoirs across Dak Lak province began discharging water at extremely high volumes. Most recently, Ba Hat River hydropower plant started releasing water downstream at a rate of 14,500 cubic meters per second, an exceptionally high volume on Wednesday afternoon. Combined with intense, prolonged rainfall, this has caused widespread flooding and submerged large parts of the region. 29 out of the province's 34 eastern communes and wards now face unprecedented flooding.
Currently, rescue efforts are being prioritized above all else. Elderly residents remain shaken as rescue teams carrying them out of inundated areas. Many others have lost contact with their family members after one final phone call in the morning.
There is nothing left. The locals are crying for help, but rescue forces struggle to find a way. No one knows when the water will recede.
By 4 p.m., all 34 eastern communes and wards were nearly submerged. Even Duha Ward, traditionally considered one of the safest areas during major flood, has seen many homes inundated. In severely flooded zones, rescue forces have evacuated large numbers of residents from high-risk areas. Many elderly people and pregnant women have also been safely transported out.
Half of our house is flooded. We were evacuated to this location.
We have accepted that no more properties can be saved. There's no more elevated room to keep them out of the water.
Heavy rain continues across eastern Dak Lak. Torrential rains and rising floodwaters have damaged even the most solidly built homes. The concerns of residents are growing as multiple rivers in eastern Dak Lak are forecasted to reach and possibly exceed the historic flood peak recorded in 1993.
And not just Dak Lak, Gia Lai province has also been bracing for heavy rains and widespread flooding over the past few days.
Thousands of households in low-lying areas have seen water rise to their rooftops. The Lotte River dike in Tuy Phước commune collapsed on Tuesday night, leaving thousands of residents isolated. Security forces are racing against time to rescue people trapped in vulnerable areas. Meanwhile, in the Hai Minh area of Quy Nhơn Ward, a landslide buried 2 people, leaving 1 person dead. At the Phú Tài Junction, floodwaters now range from half a meter to 1 meter deep. In western Gia Lai, along the route between Dong Chung Sơn Road and National Highway 25, stretches over 200 meters remain deeply submerged. On the Do Na Pass, a section of more than 1 kilometer on National Highway 25 has been completely cut off by floodwaters reaching approximately 1.5 meters. In Pờ Tó commune, the flood has divided 3 villages, isolating over 3,200 residents.
So far, efforts to restore the complete connectivity of the North-South Railway have yet to yield tangible results, as several sections in the south-central Vietnam are still under flood due to heavy rains since November the 17th. The stretch from Dieu Chi Station in Gia Lai Province to Cây Cây Station in Khanh Hoa Province has been completely closed. According to Lê Quang Vinh, director of Phu Khanh Railway Operations, landslides have seriously disrupted railway services, leaving some stations entirely isolated. About 20 passenger trains, including the Thống Nhất and local services, were affected, impacting roughly 3,000 passengers. The company is mobilizing manpower and equipment to restore the line as soon as floodwaters recede. Now, on the top of this hour, we focus on the rain and flood situation in the central region, which is quickly intensifying, calling for extended efforts to minimize damage on both human lives and property. Now, turning our focus onto Khanh Hoa Province. According to our latest, over 300 officers and soldiers have been deployed to the flooded areas across the province since last night with rescue equipment, speedboats, life jackets, and also bringing essential supplies to the affected citizens as well.
Many homes in Suối Hiệp, Tây Nha Trang, Cam Lâm, Cam Hiệp and Suối Dầu have been submerged due to rising water levels, and the higher areas aren't safe from this. In selected locations in Khánh Vĩnh, heavy rain caused severe flooding, power outages and loss of mobile signals. In response, the leaders of Khánh Hoa province have ordered an immediate increase in personnel and equipment to support evacuation and rescue efforts, stressing that reaching affected areas to save people is the top priority. As of now, forces are maintaining readiness around the clock, opening multiple access roads and continuing to bring additional equipment to support residents in severely flooded areas.
And that's on the flood situation, but landslides are still occurring non-stop in Khánh Hoa as well, trapping people in difficult terrain. Now, previously, 118 people were trapped on Hòn Ba Peak after a landslide since Wednesday afternoon, but has just been successfully rescued later that evening by local authorities. The group was descending the mountain when falling rocks and debris blocked the path. All victims are in stable condition, and authorities are now inspecting and repairing the route to ensure safety during the rainy season.
With quickly intensifying situation in the central, heavy armored units have been mobilized. More specifically, the Provincial Military Command deployed personnel, specialized vehicles and the BTR-152 armored carrier to rescue residents in deeply flooded and isolated areas. In locations inaccessible by land, drones were used to deliver essential supplies. Now, these heavy equipment were used on the backdrop that heavy rainfall over the last few days has caused water levels in downstream areas from the Gon and Ha Sang rivers to rise above the level 3 warning. Last night, Military Region 5 Command held an emergency meeting to coordinate response measures and ensure safety for both residents and rescue teams.
Meanwhile, rescue efforts are still being quickly carried out in Gia Lai Province, especially as overall water levels are lowering. Still, many residential areas in lowland areas remain deeply submerged, around 1 to 2 meters in fact. The provincial police have coordinated with the party committee and public authorities to evacuate nearly 1,300 residences with more than 3,000 people to safety shelters. 184 residents had to be rescued from deeply submerged areas, and more than 275 landslide-prone and at-risk areas required inspection to proactively deploy forces and barriers. There are on-site military bases in Gia Lai and charity groups currently assisting civilians. The floodwaters on the National Route 1 crossing Gia Lai have receded, allowing normal traffic. However, the National Route 1 part that crosses Dak Lak province remains submerged.
Rescue efforts are also going strong in Dak Lak province. Here, floodwaters continue to rise for a third day in a row, leaving many communities stranded and in urgent need of assistance. Border Guard and police forces have been working without rest, wading through deep water to evacuate residents, protect property and ensure the safety of even the most vulnerable, including newborns and expectant mothers.
Floodwaters have risen in the narrow alleys here in Long Binh ward since Wednesdays. Officers from the Xuân Đài Border Guard Station have been wading deep into inundated residential areas to move residents and their belongings to higher ground. Newborn babies were also transferred with extreme care following Typhoon Kameji, and now with this severe flooding, the Border Guard officers have not had a single complete day of rest.
We stay close to the people and the area to ensure their safety.
Rescue operations have been underway for the past 3 days across the eastern communes of Dak Lak. A pregnant woman from Hoa Thịnh commune was safely transported to a local clinic by police officers. This is how officers have been evacuating people and protecting property along both sides of the Ba River, where thousands of homes were severely flooded overnight due to heavy rainfall and water discharge from the hydropower plant. As water levels rise, the forces have had to move fast to ensure public safety.
We've deployed all units to areas where roads are flooded or at risk to alert residents and keep them safe.
Rain still falling in eastern Dak Lak, and the hydropower plants continue to release water. People living along the rivers and in coastal areas still need much support from both the authorities and fellow citizens.